Hello friends, welcome to episode 123 of the Shauna Stitches Podcast. I'm Shauna, and this is my crafty channel where I talk about all the things that I've been working on lately. Today is December 31st, 2025. It's New Year's Eve, yay! What are you all doing to celebrate? I hope you have fun plans, cozy plans, knitting plans, whatever it is that brings you joy today. If you were here for my last episode, my last regular episode, you know that we had quite the recording microphone snafu. So I have a new microphone. I've tested the audio. I think it sounds much better than even the old microphone did when it was working properly. So hopefully that is your experience. If it is not, please let me know, or if you have any suggestions. I think it's working okay. I will do my best not to bump it. I don't have any shawls to show you today. There's a spoiler. So hopefully nothing will interfere. You can look right down below in the About section and find show notes for this episode, which include links to everywhere where you can find me, including Ravelry, specific Ravelry pages for each project I talk about. Of course, if you follow that link, you can find all the projects I've ever listed on there, which is 500 plus, I think. My Goodreads, what else? Email address, ask me anything, question thread thing, all the things. If you still don't find what you're looking for, please leave me a comment here, shoot me a message, whatever is easiest for you. I actually have printed out show notes today, so I'm feeling so professional. Usually I'm looking on my laptop, which I'm hoping I won't need to pull out, but we'll see. I am wearing my Timbo Vest today. Let me just stand up to show you that it is two colors. It is a light blue and a chocolate brown. This is Knit Picks Wonderfluff. The blue is a ripple heather color, and the brown is called moose heather. I actually started and finished this last year around this time. I started December 21st, 2024, and I finished January 4th, 2025. I have not worn this a ton, but I do like this project. I think the yarn feels really nice and soft. Okay, let's talk about some finished objects. Actually, before we do that, let me back up just 1 second. As a huge thank you to everyone who has watched throughout the years, or if this is your first time here, I wanted to do a celebration of hitting 2,000 subscribers on this channel. So thank you to everyone who has ever hit the subscribe button. If you're not subscribed, please do hit it. And let's talk about what I'm going to be giving away. I have a few fun things here, and I haven't decided. I mean, I might find other things, but this for sure will be in the package. I have a project bag with some sheep on it. This is mine. I actually have a brand new one for you that's still in plastic, but I'll show you what it looks like on mine. This is by Le Corner, I think, and it is lined with, it does have pockets, it's hard to see, but there are pockets in there. There is a handle and a drawstring. I haven't used this yet, so it's a little stiff, and it is a pretty good size for hat, socks, even a few skein shawl, I would say. This has, where did it go? It has a little hole, eyelet hole, where you could feed yarn through if you wanted to help keep things from getting tangled up. Mostly I just got it because the sheep are so cute. So that will be part of the giveaway. I have a sock ruler. This has been the key to my sock success for many years. This is by the brand The Sock Ruler. It's the same exact one I have had for, I think, probably 9 years. I've been knitting for, it'll be 10 in February, and I've had this from the beginning, the same exact one. It's nice. You can use a Sharpie and kind of write on it if you want. The back is just blank, so you could leave marks there. But I use this to measure all the socks that I make, whether it's toe up or cuff down. It works wonderfully. And the last thing for sure that I'm sending is a skein of Socks That Rock, 100% superwash merino in the lightweight fiber weight, which is 405 yards in 146 grams. This is a very special skein because this comes from one of my local yarn stores near me, Coastal Yarns in Cannon Beach, Oregon, and it's a color that you can only get at their shop. The color is called Bruce's Candy Kitchen. It's based off of a shop that's in Cannon Beach. It's a very old family-owned candy shop business. It's been there for a very long time, and I wanted to pass this on to you so that you can use this beautiful, it's kind of like Neapolitan ice cream. It's brown and pink and white, and that could make a beautiful hat, socks, shawl, towel, whatever it is that you might want to make. So let's see, can I show all the things at once? There we go. So that to enter, please be a subscriber. So make sure that you are subscribed. Leave me a comment down below and use the word celebration. Yes, celebration. I will put it on the screen. Exactly how I want it spelled. Caps, no caps, doesn't matter. I will just search for the word celebration to pick a winner. That's open to the US. So I will only ship the package within the United States. But I'm going to give away a prize to anyone who comments from outside of the United States. So if you are not in the US, please use the word pattern in your comment. Again, be a subscriber. And I will pick one winner to win a $10 or less Ravelry pattern. Or if there's some other way I can send you a pattern you like somewhere else better, let me know, and we'll figure that out later. But so we'll do one package prize. Use the word celebration in your comment within the US. Outside the US, use the word pattern, and I will pick one winner for each. I should pick that in probably my next episode, although I'm getting into admin-y stuff here. I'm thinking about maybe recording weekly next year. I've been doing mostly bi-weekly, sometimes even more. I'm not sure that I have enough content for weekly, but I might. So we'll see. But I will be drawing that winner either in episode 124 or 125. So I guess watch the next two to figure out when I'm going to draw that. Okay, now let's talk about finished objects. Two of the items that I have finished in the last month since I talked to you on a regular episode were two more of the knitted baubles by Stacey Lewis, both from the Cozy Bauble collection. I didn't write it down, but yes, I believe it was the Cozy Bauble collection. And I had to make two more because as I was packing up all my coworker gifts, I realized that we hired one person, so a short one. And then I ended up sending two baubles to somebody else. So I ended up having to make two more, which was fine. I was kind of over baubles at that point, but I was happy to get them to everyone. I got so many thank yous, and really I was surprised by how receptive a lot of my coworkers were. And some people said nothing, and that's fine. I'd much rather have them say nothing than something mean. Nobody said anything mean, so that was good. And I think most people really appreciated them. So that's always nice to feel that. I did finish two pairs of socks. The first pair is an Advent skein from the Cozy Knitter. Yes, these are the Cozy Knitter socks. For these, I used scraps from my stash for the toe, the heel, and the cuff. In fact, this cuff color is one of my very oldest scraps that I had left from the first shawl that I ever knit. It had to be in 2016, I bet. So this was the 24 stripe skein from the Cozy Knitter. I used the Crazy Sock Ladies pattern called Vanilla Bean Socks. It's similar to Blueberry Waffles. There's a little bit close up of the pattern, just to kind of give you an idea of like the stretch. I liked the pattern. I think I like Blueberry Waffles better. It's just a little bit more intuitive for me to knit, but it's easy. It's a 4-row repeat. Very easy to keep track of where you are. No issues with the pattern whatsoever. The Cozy Knitter skein was, let's just spoil it. My other finished object is my Freckled Whimsy socks. Again, the 24 stripe skein. I use the exact same toe, heel, and cuff colors. But what I want to point out is the size difference. So if you see these two are lined up, you see how much taller the Freckled Whimsy sock is. I ended up doing 25 rounds of 2x2 ribbing on both socks, but you can see that Freckled Whimsy is quite a bit taller. That's because, gosh, I wish I knew the dyer's name behind Freckled Whimsy. I think it's a she, said that she purposely made the stripes wider, which I so much appreciate, because when I do a sock that is just 24 stripes of a regular sock, which actually this isn't even as tall, it's taller than it would be. I did 6 extra rounds of the toe on this one purposely, essentially to mimic an extra stripe. So this would be even shorter if I had not done that. I kind of wish I would have done even more rounds, although you get to a point where the toe is so long and it just looks silly. And I could have easily done more stripes. I have plenty of yarn left over. In fact, this is what I have left from my Cozy Knitter skeins. I have 24 stripes left of each. But I don't know, there's something about me that just really wanted to only do the 24 stripes, because I see so many people do that, their stripe a day thing. And in the past, I've done several more stripes to get the length of sock that I like. So this one was just shy of what I would normally like. I think I got 75 rounds for the leg, sounds right. So if I would have done the extra 6 rows here, I would have got exactly the length of sock that I like. But this is fine. I don't mind this at all. I did toe up 2 at a time, not 2 at a time, 2 separate 9-inch circular needles, 2.25 millimeters. Again, for the Freckled Whimsy, I used the Crazy Sock Lady Vanilla Bean pattern. You might notice one difference on my Freckled Whimsy. The pattern's on the back of the leg. On Cozy Knitter, it's not. That was not intentional. What happened was I knit the Freckled Whimsy for sock first. Then I was working on the Cozy Knitter and meant to pick up the pattern right after doing the heel, and just didn't realize it for a couple of rows that I hadn't started, and it was not worth taking back to me. I was just like, okay, well, we're just going to do the pattern on the front. And I kind of like it better. Not that I dislike this. It was just so nice to kind of have a half round rest row instead of pattern all the way around. So that is my 2 pairs of Advent socks for 2025. I've done both Freckled Whimsy and Cozy Knitter for several years now. I really do enjoy it. The difference to me between the two, other than, slight color differences, and depends on the year, these two actually were more similar than they have been at times. But I should say, one of the differences for me, trying to separate my socks here, the Cozy Knitter uses an 80-20 base. Freckled Whimsy uses a 75-25. I really like knitting with a 75-25 better than knitting with an 80-20. The 80-20 is plumper, it's sturdier, it feels more substantial. But for whatever reason, for me, it just is more difficult on my hands to knit. And I think it's a combination of my needle size, my gauge. I have a very tight gauge. It just is more difficult for me to knit. Whereas a 75-25, I love knitting it. It's so comfortable for me to knit on the same 2.25 millimeter needle. I think that's all I have to say about these. I'm quite happy to add them to my Christmas box of socks. We'll see. I may or may not wear them. I haven't worn them yet. I may or may not wear them before I put them in that box. I probably will, which means I'll wash them as well and then put them up for the year. Okay, what else? Now, I didn't finish anything else, spoiler, but I do have some works in progress to share with you. So let's see. The thing that I put the most time into in December, which is knocking other projects over, is my Cozy Memories blanket. Let me see. Can I find the corner that I need? Well, not really. The last time that you saw this on a regular episode, I was right there at the puppy paw. So that means I finished one whole side of 22 squares, plus the top row also of 22 squares. I mean, it's bigger than my wingspan at this point. This thing is getting big. So to my wingspan, it's right here. So I have that much more than my wingspan at this point. And then I finished another, is it 8? 7. I finished another 7. So I did a total of 50 squares in December, which I'm quite proud of. What I did was I had 25 minis from Aberdeen Wool Company. Is that what it's called? Aberdeen Fiber, something like that. Aberdeen. And I did alternated the Aberdeen yarn and the Cuddle Bums yarns. I was still getting through my May Cuddle Bums. I finished those off and I wound up my extras as I have been. This is my 4th ball of extras. I kind of wind it into not a gradient, it's like a rainbow skein, but since she doesn't really use red, which I love, I love that she doesn't really use red, I start with pink and then I go rainbow order down to usually like white or gray, depending on what was in the month. And I had, I believe, 62 grams left. So like I said, this is my 4th one, meaning I have over 200 grams caked up in 4 different cakes like this, February, March, April, and May. And I'm going to keep doing that. My goal is to eventually make kind of a like a marled rainbow sweater with my leftovers. But I just love these. Again, the Aberdeen Wool minis were 80-20 and the Cuddle Bums are at 75-25. I didn't mind it as much on this gauge because I use a 2.75 millimeter needle for my Cozy Memories. But I definitely like just feeling the squares. You can definitely feel a difference. It doesn't seem to have messed with like the size too much though. So when I had this finished off at 22 by 22, which is at 484, that's what my memory tells me. I could be off. I took a picture of it on my bed. So I'll put that picture up so you can see just how big it's getting. I have a king size bed. This is probably, I'd guess, 1.5 feet short each direction from where I would like it to be. Maybe it's even 2 feet. I'm not sure. I didn't measure. All that to say, I'm nowhere near done with this, and it's huge. I started this. It's my oldest WIP on Ravelry. Started in April of 2016 when I was just a baby knitter. Essentially, I started knitting in February of 2016. So not long after I started this, and sometimes I work on it a lot. Sometimes I don't touch it for months. Probably even there's been a whole year at least that I didn't touch this over the decade, almost a decade. But I do love that project and someday it will be done. I'm so tempted to cast on a DK weight where I just hold fingering weight double, but I keep telling myself I don't need another blanket WIP because I'm already feeling like I'm just not getting things finished no matter how much time I'm spending on projects. I think a lot of that is because I've been working on some larger projects and I just feel like I'm not getting anywhere. Okay, the next project I have to show you, speaking of Aberdeen wool minis, I needed something to watch while we watched the 3 episodes of Stranger Things that just came out on Christmas Day. And I didn't have anything that I could really knit on the couch. I am a little bit neurotic about having dog hair on my projects, and my chihuahuas shed a lot, and they are insistent on sitting on our laps. So I like to have a smaller project, usually socks, something mindless, especially for a TV show like Stranger Things where I want to pay attention. So I started the Marled Magic socks by Stephen West. These are meant to be fingering weight held double, which is what I'm doing, but I'm not doing it quite as written in the pattern. What Stephen suggests in the pattern is that you hold 2 colored yarns together, and as you finish one, you marl in another, and then you end up finishing out that first color and add in another. And so it's more of a melty kind of thing. What I am doing is using my remaining leftovers from, these were 6-gram originally. Actually, I think they were a little bit more. They were supposed to be 6 grams. They were more like 7 from Aberdeen wool. I knit my square, my Cozy Memories blanket, and then I'm literally I have them in my project bag that says so much yarn, so little time. That is exactly what I'm feeling these days. I just blindly reach in there. I pick out one. I start knitting on one sock from one end, and then the center pole, I start knitting the other sock until I have exactly the same number of rows on each sock. And I think it's going pretty well. I have about 5 colors in there so far, I think. What I have found is I based my stitch number, 48 stitches is what the pattern size I chose, on a 3.25 millimeter needle, which Stephen suggests a 3.5 millimeter. I told you already I'm a tight knitter, so I don't know, but I have knit a pair of DK weight socks with fingering held double in the past, and I looked at my notes. It was on a 3.25 millimeter needle, 48 stitches. And those socks, actually, I'm wearing them right this minute. I'm not going to show you because I have Ugg boots on, but it's just a vanilla pair of 2 yarns that you self-stripe together. Not a self-striping, but like manually striped, I guess. But it was 48 stitches, and they fit wonderfully. In fact, I was wondering if I was doubting whether or not I was remembering correctly that they fit good, but I'm wearing them now. They fit great. That being said, this is it's very hard to see. I would call it a broken rib. I think that's the correct terminology for these. So it's stretchy, maybe stretchier than the vanilla sock would be, maybe. So I'm finding when I just put this much on, and I know it's not a lot to judge it by, but it feels a little bit big. And so Stephen had size of 44 stitches and 48 stitches. I went with the 48 based on my previous experience, even though according to the pattern size, that did look like it was going to be not what he recommended for my foot size. So I should have just trusted the pattern, I guess. But when you have personal experience with the needle size, the yarn type, and the stitch number, you'd think you would be having it right. But what I'm going to do, instead of ripping back, in the next 4 rounds, I'm just going to decrease a total of 4 stitches. And I think that'll be fine because this will be a little bit higher up on my leg. So it should not matter that's a little bit looser. And then I will tighten it down and it'll be fine. They're just scrappy socks. The second yarn I'm using, how I said I was not kind of following what he said. I didn't have enough. I would have loved to just do 2 of these and then melt it like it's supposed to be, but I knew I wouldn't have enough yarn. So I'm just using an undyed yarn from my stash. I split the original 100 grams into 2 so that I can work on both socks essentially at the same time. So, because it is New Year's Eve, Stranger Things, the final episode is coming out tonight. I'm so excited. I will be working on these if I can peel my eyes away from the TV. That being said, I am really enjoying these. I need more DK weight socks in my life, and certainly I have plenty of leftover sock yarn scraps. So this is a great watching TV project. The other thing I have been doing quite often when I'm watching TV, or I should say when my husband's watching TV and I'm more just listening to it, is I've been doing more spinning. But for Stranger Things, I want to be able to look at the screen and know what's going on. So I started these on Christmas. It'll be nice too, because I think I will get most, if not all, of that Aberdeen wool used up. If I run out, because it's 25 minis, I had roughly 80 grams left of that, I think, which double that is 160. That should be more than enough for a pair of DK weight socks. Okay, let's talk about my current obsession. I am obsessed with this project. I'm so obsessed with this project that all these advents behind me, which if you watched my Vlogmas, you know, one advent's missing. Why is it missing? Where did it go? It's in this project. I am making the Confectionery Cardigan out of my Mystery Mouse advent that was right up there. First, let's talk about, actually, let's back up even more. This skein of yarn that I have sitting here, I'm so excited about because I dyed this myself. And this one I think is a bit more tonal than the skein I'm currently working from. This one caked up, you can hardly tell that there's any difference. And this is the swatch that I'm knit from that same cake that I have caked up. I am just so pleased with how well this came out. It's more variegated than, or tonal I should say, than I had hoped for, but also I just think that this skein is has more variation. I don't really know why. Although it might just look like it on the camera. Maybe not, I don't know. Either way, I am thrilled with this. This is the very first time I've ever done any acid dyeing. Before I had used food coloring, but and even that I only did a few times. So I'm very happy with this. I dyed the two skeins at the same time in the same pot, kettle dyed, using acid dyes and citric acid. All that to say, the pattern that I'm making is called the Confectionery Cardigan. It calls for a 3.5 millimeter needle with a gauge of 24 stitches by 32 rows equals 4 inches. So knowing I have a tight gauge, I swatched on the bottom with a US 6 needle. You can tell because I have 6 little eyelet holes there. That is a 4 millimeter needle. And then the top, I swatched with a 4.5 millimeter needle, which is a US 7. I just knew that I would remember, since the bottom's 6, that the top is 7. So I omitted the yarn over holes. I don't know. This looks pretty good, I think. Both of them look decent. This is actually, the reverse stockinette side is actually the front-facing side for the pattern. I think you can tell that the 4.5 is obviously a looser gauge than the 4. I personally like the 4 better. However, I got stitch gauge on the 4.5 millimeter. I can't even tell you how much stress it gives me to swatch, because swatches always lie anyways. But when I swatch and I see that a needle that is 1 whole millimeter larger than what's called for in the pattern, that many people have knit the project on, 3.5, that's what people are knitting this on. And for me, I have to use a 4.5. And to me, that the fabric feels loose. And maybe that's how other people's knitting just feels. Maybe it feels loose and drapey and airy, but it's not what I'm used to. If I was confident I would have enough yarn and that wouldn't be a problem, I would have picked the 4 millimeter and cast on with that. and then just modified the size. But because I didn't know, and there was not a single project page that said how much people were using per stripe, I went with the 4.5 and I cast on. And I have been knitting on this like a mad woman. It's going to be super hard to show you the actual progress, but I'll spread it out for you. But that's what it looks like. It doesn't look like a cardigan so much, but this is really a genius construction. So how this is knit, I'm trying not to lose stitches. I did not put stitch stoppers on here. So this is where I cast on down here, and I told you that the reverse stockinette is the correct side. So we have that. I have knit 15 of the 18 of the 25 stripes for the first half. So this is one half, and then you cast on and do the exact same thing a second time. So this goes, it's not easy because it's just rolling up, and I would put it on the other side, but my microphone's there. So this will go across here. It doesn't have a button band. It doesn't have buttons. It's an open front cardigan. I'll put pictures in. The sleeve will get picked up from here and knit down. It only has like a 3/4 length sleeve, but I'm hoping to do long sleeves on this. Once you have the second panel done, you do a 3 needle bind off up the center, back, and then the 2 panels just hang open in the front. So I just love it. This is intended for a 24-day advent, and then the main skein as your 25 color. The 25th color does the final like middle stripe, what gets 3 needle binded off together in the middle of the back. It does the bottom hem, and then it does what's left of the sleeves. So because I am adapting this to a 12-day advent with 1 large skein, that's why I dyed up this gray, because I am alternating the advent colors, the main, like I should say the 12 advent colors with the main skein, and then you can see every now and again I'm doing a gray stripe. So I do advent mini, the main skein, advent mini, main skein, advent mini, and then a gray. So 2 of the main skein and 1 gray. So this is what the large skein that came with the advent looks like, and then there's my gray. I was hoping to match my gray to this gray, even though I know it looks white, but even at a 0.5% dye ratio to yarn weight, it's still darker. So I probably could have gone like 0.1%, 0.2% maybe. And obviously I don't have speckles, so I would take these out of the bag, but that's not going to be very easy to show you them all. What I'll do is I'll put in a picture of my Mystery Mouse Christmas in the Library Castle Library. I always get it wrong. But I'll pop a picture of what the whole advent looks like. I have to show you though, color 1. And of course, color 1 in the knitting is just so hard to show you. That's the edge that wants to roll. But just look at this. Showing it to you in the skein does not do this color justice. Of course, it was the first color I knit up, and I have to tell you, I was mesmerized by every single stitch of the skein. It's called Stained Glass Window. I don't know if Holly from Mystery Mouse will do a full skein of this, but if she did, I would knit a whole sweater in this. And green is not even like my color. But what I love about this is essentially like all the stitches were different colors. It's just so pretty. It's not, I'm telling you, it's not doing it justice, especially because it's all rolled up. Showing it to you from the stockinette side, I don't think helps much either. But just know it's a beautiful, beautiful color. They're all beautiful colors, but day 1 just knocked my socks off. So let's see, I am about to add, where did it go? The 10th, this is the 10th mini skein. So I am almost done. not almost, I have 7 stripes to go to be done with the first panel. And I started this, sorry, I bumped my microphone. Hopefully that's not loud for you. I have no idea. I started this on December 28th. So today is the 3rd day I've worked on it. Granted, I've been off work. Glenn was working. My husband was working the last 2 days, 12-hour shifts. So I was left to my own devices at home to knit and knit and knit. And I loved every minute of it. This is a great project. It is, you do have to purl back. So it's knit and purl, knit a row, purl a row. I saw somebody had Ravelry notes that they modified this to steek. They didn't really give any details on that. And I have steeked before, but was not confident enough with this, not quite understanding. And I guess I should go back a bit. So the way that you get length on this cardigan is the number of stitches you cast on. The way you get width, because I don't know how to explain it. It's knit this way. The way you get width is how wide your stripes are. So I cast on for a size 2. There's only 3 sizes in the whole pattern, but that covers essentially every size because the pattern is designed to have 10 to 20 inches of positive ease. So a size 1 has a 50-inch bust. So I cast on for a size 2 for length because I'm tall and I like usually a longer sweater. I was tempted to cast on a size 3, but my thought is if it's still not as long as I want it, I can add more ribbing for length. Whereas I didn't want it to be too long. Like I don't really want it to be like down past my butt or anything, but down past my hips, yes. So what am I trying to say? I cast on for the length of the size 2. I'm knitting the width of the size 1. And I'm doing the sleeve width of a size 1 because they're actually quite large sleeves. Where they end at that 3/4 length at the kind of just past the elbow, they're quite loose and that's not really what I want. My goal for the sleeves, instead of them being just one color, I haven't knit the second half yet, but one stripe on my first half is taking between 5 and 6 grams of yarn. That means 2 stripes doing the second half. I'm still going to have about half of my mini skein left. So that being said, what I want to do is add stripes also to the sleeves. And I will do it just the same as I've been doing, where I will alternate the mini color with either the main skein if I have any left or the gray to hopefully get to long sleeves that are not as wide as what they are in the project. That's what I'm hoping for. I'm making very detailed notes on my project page. So if you have any questions about what I've done, granted, I can't for sure tell you it's working out or that it's going to work out. I'm hoping that the lengthwise is going to be good, but I will know so much more once I can join it all together and actually try it on. That's going to be a bit, but at the rate I'm going, maybe it will be sooner than I think. But I'm absolutely loving this project so much that I can for sure see knitting at least one more, probably 2, 3, 5, I don't know. I just love this project. I could see knitting it again and again because the other projects that I think about doing a lot are shawls, and I enjoy knitting shawls. I just don't really wear them. That being said, I'm not great about wearing any of my knitwear, but I feel like this I will wear. Just throw it over something, and then if I'm going to go sit on the couch with the dogs, I can just take it off because I don't want it to get all dog hairy. I also don't want them to snag the stitches. That's another thing. People who own pets, and I know there's a lot of you out there, what are your tips for not getting pet hair all over your things, or do you just not care? I don't know why. It's just a pet peeve of mine. I really don't like it. But I like my dogs, and I'm keeping my dogs, so that's not an option. Anyhow, I know lots of people are interested in that pattern. I cannot take credit for finding it. Elizabeth JD Knits, something along those lines. But she is the one who recommended that pattern to me because she actually knit a different Mystery Mouse 12 skein plus 1 full day advent and found that she was able to modify the 12 days to fit the 24 days project. And as soon as I saw her version, I was like, that is beautiful. So I jumped right in and I love every minute of it. Highly recommend so far. Okay, the last project I have to show you, I have made a good bit of progress on. I'm not gonna lie, I thought I would have made more progress. But this saw some work in December. In fact, that gingerbread house right there is where I was. Ooh, can you see it? Maybe. That's where I was at the beginning of December. And that's where I made it to. So I was hoping to knit more on this, but honestly, doing the 2 squares a day in my Cozy Memories, I would get behind on my work days and then spend the good majority of my weekend catching up just on that project. And so there were some weekends where I didn't even get to this. I am on color 13 of the Cuddle Bums Advent from 2024. Right up there, you can see the 2025 Cuddle Bums Advent, which is beautiful. That being said, I absolutely love this project. It is also on a 4.5 millimeter needle. Apparently that is my needle sweet spot. So I am definitely going to keep working on this. In fact, I'm going to keep working on it through January. I'm so torn on what it is I want to be working on right now. For sure, I'm going to keep working on that confectionery cardigan. I love working on that. It's just so mindless and easy, and I don't know, it's just so good. So I'm going to keep working on that. I'm definitely going to work on the Anthology Throw when I have time. The other project that is calling to me is my Marled Magic Blanket. But Zanette Knits, she is supposed to be posting an update on the 2nd of January, talking about her mystery sweater. It'd be Do You Yoke 3. So 2 years ago, she started with Do You Yoke, and that was a mystery colorwork yoke pattern. And then last year she did Do You Yoke 2, which is the first one I participated in, which was a beautiful sweater. And then this year is going to be Do You Yoke 3. So the details are coming out on the 2nd, as long as everything is still on time. She has mentioned that this year is going to be a worsted weight sweater. I still believe it's going to be a colorwork yoke. This one I do know she has mentioned has the option to be a pullover, which is what the last 2 have been, or a steeked cardigan. I'm definitely going to go the steeked cardigan route. It's so funny. I have always been like a pullover person, mostly because I don't want to take the time to coordinate a shirt with a sweater. If I'm wearing a sweater, it just covers the shirt and it doesn't really matter what I'm wearing. That's just me. But I've really been drawn to cardigans lately. So I want to give that a try. Speaking of steeks, I went down the whole rabbit hole of telling you about the steek thing for the confectionery cardigan. And I think now that I see the construction of it, I could figure that out for future projects. But I would not do it for the second panel just because I want the first panel and the second panel to match. But in the future, all I would do is do that one cast on row. Would I add stitches there? I don't think so. But I would do the cast on row. I would, is it a purl row first? Purl or knit back, whichever. And then maybe I would cast on 5 extra stitches and then join in the round. Anyway, essentially for the steek section, you just usually knit, well, you start with a purl and then you knit like 5 stitches and then another purl. So a purl column and then knit stitches in the middle. And then what I have done in the past is a crochet steek. And so in the very middle of that, you do this crochet chain up each side and you cut down the middle of that. And then for this, instead of it separating like this, it would separate the long way. I don't know, it's hard to explain, but I think in my head I can understand it. So I would definitely consider doing that on a future confectionery cardigan because I really do think I'm going to knit another one. That means I could only knit and I wouldn't have to do the purl rows. I don't generally mind purling, but I definitely do feel a bit slower with it. And sometimes it hurts my wrist. So it would be nice to just knit it all. And then it would be truly mindless. That is all of the knitting that I have done in the month of December, which it feels like a lot and it feels like nothing at the same time. As I had said, I wished that I would have finished the Anthology Throw. I'm not, well, let's see. Yes, I am halfway, but just barely, just barely. And I started that December 24th of 2024. So it's been on the needles for over a year. I definitely haven't worked on it most of that whole year, but it would just be so nice to get it done because it's so beautiful. I think it's going to be wonderful when it's, all blocked and big and round and colorful. But for now, it's just still a work in progress. Yeah, and then I want to finish my Marled magic blanket, which I feel like I don't even have time for. The one bit of spinning that I have finished in December is a 50-gram skein. It's actually 61 grams from Kingdom Fleece and Fiberworks. This is from her 2024 Advent. It's the 5th color called Gingerbread. So this is a traditional 3-ply. I think this might be the most beautiful brown color I have ever seen in my life. I'm not a big brown person. I tend to really like grays. That is my neutral of choice. But this is gorgeous. I think it's the orange tones in there that I love, but it's just so, so pretty. So as I said, this is the 5th skein. Somewhere over here I have the other 4. That's why I'm not looking at you. So this was 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And there's a total of 8. I am currently spinning the 6th one, which is called Gumdrop, but I did not bring it in here to show you. What else do we have to talk about? That is all of the crafting that I have done in the month of December, which it's crazy. Does that feel like a lot? Does that feel like a little bit? I don't know. Please tell me. The only other thing I really have to tell you about is the books that I have read. So since I last talked to you, I finished quite a few books. I finished Lights Out by Nevessa Allen. That's how do I even describe it? Like a hardcore romance. I've mentioned before that romances aren't really my thing. That being said, I kind of like this one, except that there are parts of this that go way over the bounds of the boundaries, whatever. Yeah, it's out there. Caution, if you're going to read it, if you're thinking about reading it, it is very out there. I'll just leave it at that. I give it 3.5 stars. It's a series. I think I would read the next one. I'm just going to spoiler it a little bit. It's more than just a romance. It's kind of like into a thriller, and it's the thriller part of it that I like, not the romance part. So I think that's why, in my mind, I can say that I like it, because I just, the romance part is not my favorite, but I do love the thriller part. The next book I finished was Now or Never, which is the 31st book in the Stephanie Plum series. I love that series. It's by Janet Ivanovich. And I know I've mentioned those books here before. I'm certain I have not read all 31, but the way she writes, it's so easy to just pick up any of the books and kind of know who the characters are and how they all play together. Part of that might be because I've read several of them, and so I do know some of the characters, but she does a pretty good job of recapping without over recapping. There are some authors out there who essentially like rewrite the first book to write the second one, and I don't need all that, but she does a good job. They're usually very funny. They're not romances at all, but there is romance. Stephanie may or may not have gotten married in this one, so that's interesting. The next book that I finished was Grim and Oro, which I guess you could call it book 3.5 in the Lightlark series. It isn't titled that, to my understanding, but it is after the 3rd book and before the 4th book. And that's by Alex Astor. I love the Light Lark series. It's literally one of my favorites. I think it is my favorite series of 2025. And I'm currently reading the fourth book, which is called Crown Tide. So I love it. I will continue to read every book that comes out. I don't know if there's going to be another one. I'm only 45% into Crown Tide. So maybe it will get wrapped up in this book, but I don't know that yet. If there's a book 5, I will read it for sure. The very last book that I finished, which was an audiobook, was Ward D by Frida McFadden. You guys know I am a huge Frida McFadden fan, but this one fell short of her normal, of my expectations. It just fell short. I figured out the twists and turns well before the author put them out there, which is not normal. It just was not my favorite. I gave it 3.5 stars. I didn't hate it, but you know, I probably, if I wasn't familiar with her as a writer, I'd probably think more highly of it. But because I know what she's capable of, this one was not that. I probably should have only given it 3 stars, but I gave it 3.5. I won't take it back. That is pretty much everything. Other than that, just life stuff. I have been off work since December 24th. It has been wonderful. I'm not going back to work until January 5th. And each time I'm away from work, more times that I'm away, I just think about how freeing it is to be able to work on my crafts when I want, to read the books when I want, what I want, work out when I want, all those things. I have just been really enjoying it. I'm not really looking forward to going back, if I'm being honest. It's nice to not have the stress of work. Of course, I think we all feel that. But needless to say, when I get back to it, I'm sure it will be fine. I have been thinking of goals. I'm not generally like a January 1st goal person, but you probably know I've been working out quite a lot since July. I started going to a weightlifting gym near me where I have not necessarily a coach that's there all the time, but I have somebody who programs workout routines for me and tells me, not exactly how much weight to lift, but I know my 1 rep max. And then he tells me how many reps to do, how many sets, and what percentage of my 1 rep max. And then he builds me through like a 8 or 10, 12 week thing before I try and up my one rep max again. So unfortunately, unfortunately, I'm seeing a lot of progress, which is great. I'm definitely feeling stronger. I know that my cardio health is getting better because I'm just not as winded. For sure, I'm getting stronger because I'm lifting heavier weights. All of those things are good. Unfortunately, I have gained a lot of weight in the last year, and I think a lot of it is due to just the age that I am. Lucky us women who get to have our hormones all thrown out of whack in our middle age. So yeah, that has been really frustrating to before. If I would have been working out like this, I could have dropped weight, and I have not lost an ounce in the last, has it been 5 months now, 6 months, whatever, 6 months since I started going to the gym. And that just is like soul crushing. So it's like I'm trying to look at the positives of how much stronger I am, but I'm not getting the physique I want. And that is frustrating. And I know like part of it's diet and stuff too, which since the holidays hasn't been the best, but I have been watching that as well, and just nothing's affecting it. So that's frustrating. But my goal, rather than, dropping weight or dropping pant sizes, any of that stuff, my Aura ring, which is it has sensors on the inside. It's like a health sensor thing. It tracks sleep, it tracks biometrics, it tracks body temperature, it tracks all these different things. One of the things that it tells me is that my heart health is currently plus 8 years older than I am, which would put me at like mid 50s. So I would really like to see an increase in my heart health because obviously I am doing things to make that better. I'm hoping to see a decrease in that. My husband's like negative 10.5 years, which I would love that. My goal, honestly, is to get it, to be my age rather than plus. So if I start to see a decrease, in the last 6 months, I have been anywhere from +7 to +9. So being at +8, I'm right there in the middle. But I need to see that start coming down. Aura says anything that's -5 to +5, they put that in your age range. That's like the healthy range to be in. So if I could just be in that range, that would be great. That being said, like I said, I told you, I know that I'm making improvements. I hit my first Peloton bike PR, personal record. I made my very first one in years yesterday. I did a 30-minute ride and I beat my previous score by 1 kilojoules, which may mean nothing to you if you don't do Peloton, but it's essentially, I had more output, so more resistance, more speed than ever before in a 30-minute ride. So I know I'm making progress, but gosh, I just want to see it and I want to feel it. If you can relate, let me know. If you have any tips, let me know, other than just doing what I'm doing and hoping that I start to see results. What else? Oh, I finished 56 books in 2025, and going forward to next year, I definitely want to keep reading every single day. I did lose my reading streak. I was at 700 and something days. I was about to hit the 2 years of reading every single day. I got a huge case at work and I just got busy and didn't even think about it, and I missed it. So I was bummed, but it's okay. The weekly streak is still there. I'm at 100 and I don't even know how many weeks now, 105, 106, something like that. So I didn't lose that. It's a little bit of a bummer, but it's okay. Life goes on. What else? I think those are really the only, I guess, goals that I'm setting. Of course, I want to keep knitting. I want to keep knitting my stash. Now that I am feeling more confident about dyeing yarn, I feel like I can use my stash in new ways. So that's really, of course, a goal of mine in 2026. But you can hear more about those goals in my State of the Stash that will be coming out very soon. I see that this is getting quite long, so I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up here. I'm on the fence whether or not I'm going to do a recap video like I did for 2024 of all the things that I've knit in the year. That was just a quick video where it was literally just a montage kind of, slideshow of all the projects without a voiceover or anything. I just had the project name. So if that's interesting to you and you would like to see that, let me know and I can make that up pretty quickly, I think. And that's it. I'm going to wrap it up here. Thank you for joining me. Please don't forget, if you're interested, to subscribe to enter my giveaway. Celebration for the US prize and pattern for the outside of the US prize. And beyond that, if you just feel so inclined, please like and subscribe. Also, leave me a comment. I would love to hear whatever it is that you would like to talk to me about. Thank you so much for being here with me in 2025, and we're about to go into 2026, and I'm sure there's only good things waiting for us. I'll see y'all soon. Bye.